Hey, everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Steve. I'm here by myself today. I don't know if you're a regular viewer. If you are, you've already heard me say that we are moving this week, so I'm not in the normal setup here. I'm even wearing a hat because I don't have the correct lighting around me. With that out of the way, I want to talk a little bit about today the way that the government operates in the United States compared to the way that it did when, us Gen X men were younger and the things that we had, experienced. And no, nothing's ever been perfect, but at the same time, they seemed a little bit more efficient, perhaps. Okay. Most people think politics are broken. I don't. I've said this before. I think they're exactly working the way they are designed. And that is the problem. Politicians don't create behavior, they respond to it. Okay. That's your vote. They follow incentives, votes, attention, money. People say politicians are the problem. I don't think so. They're not. They're the mirror, the reflection of you, the voters, who put them in that place. That's how that happens. Okay. There was a time when people trusted these institutions. Well, like I was talking about at the beginning, not because they were perfect, but because they weren't 100 different competing versions of reality like we have today, back and forth, all in one day. We're going to destroy Iran. We're going to love Iran. Straits open, straits closed, straits double closed. We didn't move into a more informed world as it was perhaps early on with the internet. We moved into a more contested one. All the different views all the time, different realities, even AI slop today. Every election cycle runs on promises. We've heard that before. Read my lips, no new taxes. Remember that one way back? Yeah, it was actually a good idea that he did that because it did make sense in 90 when Bush raised them. It had to happen. I'm not going to start any new Mideastern wars. What about that? I've solved so many wars. What? Every governing cycle runs exactly the same like this. The gap never closes between what is said and what is delivered. This isn't a left argument, okay? This is not a right argument, okay? This is a pattern. It's been around forever. And if we can take off our tunnel vision glasses, we can see this. If we're not drooling over this person that we love, oh my gosh, they're so good. Get off your knees. Power converts to money. Once they get elected, I've said this for a long time. The quickest way to corrupt somebody is to elect them to office, even though they are a saint. When they're elected, they become a sinner very quickly. If it didn't, different people would be in power. Okay? If it weren't so lucrative, maybe they would quit and go home, go back to their big paying job. We act like this is happening to us, but that is not the case. This is happening through us. We are the ones that vote for this stuff. We put these people there and do not hold them accountable. And if we do hold them accountable, half of us says that we no longer have faith in the almighty, whoever it might be that we elected, or we're a basher, or we're labeled as something. Like objective thought in a subjective world, if there's anything such as objective thought anymore, I know it's technically not possible because we have a subjective mind. But still, we're like forbidden to have an opinion unless we want to change labels. We were raised in a system that did not feature any of this, at least to us. I mean, yes, we were kids. But if you look back, after I've had videos about bipartisan bill, whatever happened to that, and the way that things got toxic with Rush Limbaugh and then the contract with America, and everybody's a demon now. And I actually was in favor of all that stuff. So I'm not trying to criticize it in that way, but I see today the harm. That's where the vitriol came from. But if we're from the right, we're never going to admit that because, Rush Limbaugh, from his formerly nicotine-stained hands, that piece of paper there, I used to listen to that guy every freaking day. And I'm not saying that to bash him, but that kind of comedic style into politics with feminazi and all that, it definitely changed the game. And both sides, I have a video about this, both sides noted that, and so they both started doing it. So Rush might have had the light bulb moment, but both sides went toxic immediately. And that was the death of bipartisan bill. And that was the beginning of where we are today. And so the problem is for us as voters, nobody has ever updated the manual, which is a common refrain in all Gen X stuff. We've been through so many resets and all that. And if you're not from Gen X and you're calling us whiny, whatever, go back to whatever it is you do. I'm talking to Gen X people here. We did go through that stuff. And yeah, we are adaptable and we have survived and we keep picking ourselves up and keep going, but it gets weary after a while to keep having to reset when nobody ever tells you what the hell to do. And especially when they start changing what nouns are and or pronouns are or whatever else while we're just trying to get through freaking life, whatever. You got your pet project over there. knock it out, man. Don't expect me to adapt to your agenda just because you came up with some bright idea, all right? So now you got Gen X men who are in their, late 40s, 50s, some in the 60s. I'll turn 60 this year. My brother Troy just turned 60 in February, who are looking out here at the world and seeing all this stuff, everything from, what do women think of men now because of the toxicity that feminism created? And I'd rather meet a bear on a trail than a man. And oh my God, if you don't know all the pronouns, you're a phobe, I mean, Jesus Christ, just shut up. Just shut up. It's gotten old. Do like we did. Rub some dirt on it and get back in the game. And that's exactly what most of us have done. Some people like me rub some dirt on it and actually have a different dirt altogether now. I'm an expat. I no longer want to be involved in that. I did not run away from it. Y'all know this story. If you don't, there's plenty of videos here. I accidentally ended up like this, but I'm glad I did. Looking back on it, after 10 years of being in terminal condition and then coming out of it in 2020, right into the pandemic and seeing all this, geez, you got to be kidding me. And that's just between the late teens and 2020. For us, but grew up in this late 70s, mid 70s, 80s, early 90s, whichever version of Gen X you are, it was a completely better world. And like I said, I don't live in the United States anymore. It's not an escape. I didn't run from anything. I just found a place by accident, literally. You've heard me talk about my accidental expat series that I have here. And I stayed, and I'm here now 6 years, and I love it. In fact, this week I'm moving. Like I just said, that's why I'm in this different thing. That's why I'm wearing my old Army cap. This is the regiment I served with. And so it's just perspective, man. It's just perspective. We're allowed to have that without being labeled or discounted. You can discount me if I'm a moron if you think I'm fine. Fuck that. I don't care. Whatever. We all have our thoughts. When you step outside of it and stop reacting to all that stuff, which, yes, I am reacting to it right now because I'm speaking to I literally just do this to speak to Gen X, man. Just because we all grew up together. I consider you brothers in that way. I mean, even though we never met and I don't even know what color or whatever you came from, but y'all were there. So that's good. Born American men in those times. And so, or males, or how you want to say it. But and females, I'm not trying to discount them, but my history is in the Army, playing in heavy metal bands on stage and all this shit, and following a Grateful Dead around the country, and so I was with dudes most of the time. I mean, of course, I've been married and I have a wife now. It's not like that, but I don't have a lot to offer Gen X women. I mean, I love you. But I don't think that a lot of Gen X women today love men in the same way because of the toxicity of feminism and what it's done. Back to I would rather meet a bear on a trail in the woods than to meet a man. Really? Okay. Well, the man will come along and scoop up the parts later, I guess. But at some point, you stop waiting for all this to fix itself. But how do we do that? We have to start figuring out, we've always lived, most of us, a lot of us, I don't know. I mean, I'm generalizing here. And yes, I'm speaking a bit to the Gen X mythos, but having lived it to its nth degree on every freaking level, from first being divorced parents and moving around and all this stuff in different schools, all during late 60s, early 70s, we've been outside the box. We built our own box. Pink Floyd helped us describe it. We built a wall. And I literally built a wall. If you all know me that have been around this place, I've never had the last person I worked for had sergeant stripes on, and that was 1998. I've been, either not employed until maybe the late 90s when I started the .com thing, and then I've been self-employed, working remotely since. So I've been outside the box. And as you all know, I've never voted. I never voted. I've never trusted them. I've never been in a box. I've been outside of everything. And I know for some of you that might sound like I didn't do my civic duty, and I get it. You're right. You're right in that regard. But it's just, for me personally, truth be told, half the time I didn't even know there was an election going on. For most of my life, I didn't even pay attention to the news. I was just doing my own thing, in all the various ways. So we just got to try to figure out how to live outside the box while we're inside the box, because we can't escape it. We can't not file tax returns. We can't drive through the fucking stoplight. Not that those are real, but you get my drift. Well, I guess the first one is don't do that. But in closing, I would just like to say that I'm not trying to blame us for this, because we were raised in a world where we can trust those people. I talk all the time about being one of Reagan's Rangers, man. That's one of the proudest moments of my life. And, during the mid 80s and all that, and leading up to Grand Rugman, and they, no more reenlistment in the same way because of the downsizing and when I left. But I was so proud to be in, U.S. Army infantry during that time. and to be with Ronald Reagan up there. I mean, I don't know, but I know that a lot of people have mixed views of that. Again, but in live fire, as a teenager in those years, late teens, early 20s, in my 20s, I was all about it, man. I was red, white, and blue as you can get. And I still am. I've never left that in any way. I mean, I'm still in veteran communities, blah, blah, blah. I'm babbling. I'm even wearing the freaking hat from the 216 infantry. But we just got to figure it out. And how do we do that? We just keep fucking getting back up and getting in the game and finding the best. There's tons of opportunities out there. In every single position you walk up to, you have a choice of this or that. They might not all be necessarily good, but there's going to be one that's better than the rest. You got to continuously try to do that. You got to pick yourself back up, get back on your trail, learn from what you've gone through, take all that information, turn it into a learning experience, not some kind of regret or some kind of whatever, and go forward and just keep doing that. Just keep picking yourself up and keep going, because the system will not save you. You've heard me talk about how the VA now has been removed from here because of Doge. I can't even depend on that as a veteran any longer. With my transplant and cancer care, I still have to fly back to the States twice a year because of that. And that's fine. I'm not bitching about it. I chose to come here. Nobody forced me to leave. And I dig it, man. I get it. But I'm also doing very well. I have a fucking wonderful life here. And I do intend to go back to the United States if they ever let Colombian people get back into the United States, because my wife is Colombian and they stopped the visa. And so that's just what that is. So whatever your situation is, maybe you don't have any, you're just watching at this point. If so, thank you. But if you do, man, whatever that thing is, it's a relative level of pain. Whatever it is, that's the thing that got you. You might not have had a transplant. You might not have had the .com crash wipe you out, or the '08 thing wipe you out, or even pandemic wipe you out. Maybe one of those did. Maybe all of them did. But the key to Gen X that makes us so much fucking better than any other generation in U.S. history, well, I don't want to go that far, in living U.S. today, is the fact that we are so resilient. We've been from analog to digital, and we've mastered it all, okay? We were the last, those of us born in the late 60s were the last ones to truly have a only analog childhood. And I mean, what is that, bonus point, Steve? I don't know what it is, but we were able to adapt, is my point, and learn and keep going and picking ourselves up and learn and learn and learn and get better. That is resiliency that Gen X is known for. So men out there, pick yourself up off your ass and do it, man. You got to fucking do it. You can't depend on anybody else in the world. There are great people that can help. You have to have friends and support networks. But at the end of the day, it comes down to just you. So whether or not the government is ever going to get its shit together, which it's not at this point, it's just a circus. I mean, I hate to sound like Debbie Downer there. I'm not trying to predict anything, but yeah, really, what is suddenly going to bring us back to coherency where both parties are talking and okay with each other, like Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan having a whiskey each night after they get done bashing each other all day, and Tip O'Neill being just a pain in Reagan's side for all those years, but they were actually very good friends who sat down regularly after 6 o'clock, and as Tip said, they would have an Irish, meaning they would do shots. I've heard so many descriptions of this, and I love that. I used to love being able to talk to people on the other side of the quote fence. I've never been on one side, but we've lost that, man. We lost that. So we cannot trust the government. The government's not going to save us. That's a pretty shitty way to end this, but that's my message here. It's up to you. We are it. We are on our own.